Beyonce is done for. The Beyhive is turning on their queen, and folks, this isn't just some little controversy that'll blow over by next week. We're talking about a full-scale revolt happening in real time. Her Instagram comment section looks like a war zone right now. Celebrities who stayed silent for years are finally speaking up. And the most shocking part? Her follower count is dropping faster than her drink sales. This whole situation has the internet absolutely spinning because everything we thought we knew about the Carters might have been a carefully crafted lie. Everybody thought they knew the full story about Beyonce and Jay-Z. The power couple, the untouchables, the Carters who built an empire so massive that even mentioning their names wrong could allegedly end careers. That was the version everyone repeated for decades. The narrative of two self-made icons who climbed to the top through pure talent and hard work. But now, new information keeps surfacing every single day, and the whole narrative is twisting into something nobody saw coming. We're watching an empire collapse in real time, and the cracks that are showing, they run deeper than anyone imagined. The internet is connecting dots that were always there, just hidden in plain sight. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let me break down what's actually happening right now, because this is where everything gets absolutely insane. TMZ and social media platforms are flooded with comments from people who are done protecting the Carters. We're not talking about random haters either. These are longtime fans, industry insiders, and people who've been watching this unfold for years. They're finally speaking up, and what they're saying is chilling. Check out what's appearing in Beyoncé's Instagram comments right now. One person wrote, "We know everything now." Think about that phrasing. Not "we're learning" or "we suspect." They said "we know." That's a statement of certainty. And her last name being Knowles? Folks online are having a field day with that irony. She knows, they keep repeating. The wordplay writes itself. Another comment that's going viral says Beyonce always knew, and underneath it, hundreds of people agreeing, sharing, adding their own experiences. Someone else wrote they're sick to their stomach about these celebrities, and they're not holding anything back. They're going directly to her page to say this stuff, not hiding behind anonymous accounts or gossip blogs. They want her to see it. But here's where it gets even crazier. Fans online turned into full-blown investigators, and what they uncovered is straight disturbing. They started looking back at concert footage, music videos, award show appearances, studying everything with fresh eyes, and patterns started emerging that nobody caught before. Let's talk about the Prince situation. Prince passed away in 2016, right? Well, people online went back and found footage of Beyoncé's concert where she did a tribute to Prince. Nothing unusual about that, except she had already prepared an entire purple-themed segment before his death was announced. The stage design, the costumes, the choreography, all ready to go. How does that happen? How do you have a full tribute prepared for someone who just died unless you knew it was coming? And it doesn't stop there. The same thing happened with Michael Jackson. Online detectives found that Beyoncé performed wearing Michael's signature glove in red, black, and white, his iconic colors. She had backup dancers dressed in Thriller-era outfits. The whole production was Michael-themed. And here's the kicker. This was during the same time period when Michael passed. Folks online are asking, how did she have time to prepare all of that? Professional productions take weeks, sometimes months to coordinate. Costumes have to be ordered, choreography rehearsed, stage designs approved. You can't pull that together overnight. Then investigators dug even deeper and found connections between Michael Jackson's security team and Diddy's security team. The same people, working for both. And now, with everything coming out about Diddy, people are connecting dots that paint a seriously dark picture. Were these deaths predicted because they were planned? That's what folks online are speculating. And honestly, when you lay out all the evidence they've compiled, it starts looking less like conspiracy theory and more like conspiracy fact. Frame-by-frame analysis of old interviews shows Beyonce and Jay-Z's reactions when certain names get mentioned. The subtle glances, the quick subject changes. Body language experts online are breaking down these moments, and they're saying the discomfort is obvious once you know what to look for. People are also revisiting the Destiny's Child era with completely different perspectives now. The way original members got pushed out, the way Beyoncé was always centered, always prioritized, while equally talented singers got treated like backup dancers in their own group. Folks are saying it wasn't just about talent, it was about control, about making sure only one star could shine. And here's what's blowing people's minds. They're going back to those dismissed lawsuits from years ago, the ones that got thrown out because judges said the claims were too outrageous to believe. Well, now that multiple people are coming forward with similar stories, those old cases are being looked at with fresh eyes. What seemed impossible back then is starting to look a whole lot more possible now. Now, let's get into the motive, because this is where everything starts clicking into place like pieces of a puzzle nobody wanted to solve. The Carters didn't just climb to the top. According to what's being discussed across social media and industry whispers that are finally going public, they allegedly bulldozed their way there. And I'm not talking about healthy competition. I'm talking about systematic elimination of anyone who could challenge their throne. Think about the landscape of music in the late 90s and early 2000s. There was so much talent. Artists who could sing circles around most people. Rappers who had more skill and street credibility than Jay-Z ever did. But somehow, mysteriously, careers that should have skyrocketed just didn't. They stalled out, got derailed by scandals, ended tragically. Let's talk about Aaliyah for a second. Rising superstar, incredible talent, massive potential, and she was connected to Jay-Z's circle before her untimely death. After she passed, Jay-Z ended up with Dame Dash, who was Aaliyah's boyfriend. Convenient timing, some folks online are saying. And the way he moved in on that situation, they're calling it calculated. Then there's the Tupac connection that keeps getting brought up. Tupac was vocal about certain people in the industry. He called out fake behavior, industry plants, people who sold their souls for fame, and Jay-Z's name came up in those conversations. Now, years later, with everything coming out about Jay-Z's alleged connections to Diddy and Diddy's alleged involvement in things surrounding Tupac's death, people are connecting lines that form a very disturbing picture. Someone in Beyoncé's comments wrote, "Tupac was my role model and I hate your husband for that." That's not just casual dislike, that's deep personal anger about something specific, and hundreds of people are agreeing with that sentiment. But here's where the motive gets even clearer. The Carters weren't just eliminating competition, they were allegedly using their power to control narratives, silence critics, and intimidate anyone who might speak up. Multiple people in the industry have hinted at this over the years, but they always spoke in code, vague references to powerful people and industry secrets. Well, now, those same people are being more direct. They're naming names, they're sharing experiences. Jaguar Wright has been screaming about this stuff for years, and everyone called her crazy, dismissed her as a bitter ex-artist with an axe to grind. But everything, and I mean everything she said, is coming true right now. She talked about the bodies, the suspicious deaths, the way people who crossed the Carters ended up destroyed or dead, and she got mocked for it, laughed at, told she was delusional. Well, who's laughing now? Jaguar is being vindicated in real time, and people are going back through her old interviews with completely different ears. The woman was trying to warn everybody, and she got punished for it. Her career got blackballed, she couldn't get booked, couldn't get her music played, all because she refused to stay quiet about what she witnessed. The financial aspect is important too. The Carters built a billion-dollar empire. But how much of that wealth came from actual talent versus strategic elimination of competition? When you're the only option left standing, of course you're going to dominate the market. But if you had to remove everyone else to get there, that's not success. That's sabotage disguised as ambition. And let's talk about the demonic imagery that Beyoncé's been pushing for years. The symbolism in her music videos, the occult references, the way she incorporated dark themes into performances and acted like it was just artistic expression. People ate it up because it was shocking and different. But now folks are wondering, was that art or was that revelation? Was she showing us exactly who she is and we were too distracted by the production value to notice? There are literally entire YouTube channels dedicated to breaking down the symbolism in Beyoncé's work, and what they're finding is consistent: Illuminati references, demonic imagery, satanic symbolism. And before you write that off as conspiracy nonsense, remember, she's the one who put that imagery in her work. Nobody forced her to include those elements. She chose them, repeatedly, consistently, deliberately. The motive becomes crystal clear when you step back and look at the full picture. This wasn't about being the best, this was about being the only. And allegedly, they were willing to do whatever it took to maintain that position. Intimidation, manipulation, and according to what's being discussed online right now, possibly worse. But here's the part that really hits different, and this is where the human cost of all this alleged behavior becomes impossible to ignore. We're not just talking about celebrities and industry drama. We're talking about real people whose lives got destroyed, families who lost loved ones, artists who had their dreams crushed. And for what? So two people could sit on top of an empire built on other people's pain? Think about Blue Ivy for a second. That child didn't ask to be born into this situation. She's growing up with parents who are allegedly involved in some seriously dark stuff, and the whole world is watching it unravel. People online are saying she probably walks around with her head down now, embarrassed to be associated with the Carter name. And honestly, can you blame her? Tina Knowles came out a while back and said she didn't think Blue Ivy wanted to be in the industry. At the time, people thought maybe it was because the kid was shy or didn't have the talent. But now folks are wondering if Blue Ivy saw things, knew things, understood what her parents were really about, and wanted no part of it. They tried to push that child into the spotlight anyway, had her doing performances at Beyoncé's concerts, made her throw up hand signs and do choreography that included symbolism no child should be involved with. And the internet noticed. People started asking, why is this little girl being forced to participate in this imagery? Why are her parents okay with that? The emotional weight of this situation extends to every artist who got pushed aside so Beyoncé could shine. The original Destiny's Child members who got kicked out and replaced. Their dreams mattered too. Their talent was real too. But they got discarded like they were nothing because they didn't fit the narrative that Matthew Knowles and the Carters were building. Kelly Rowland and Michelle Williams stayed in the group, but at what cost? They became background singers in what was supposed to be a group. They had to watch Beyoncé get all the attention, all the praise, all the opportunities, while they got treated like accessories. And to this day, they're still defending her, still standing by her side. Why? Because they're afraid of what happens if they don't. That's not loyalty, that's survival. And let's talk about the women Jay-Z allegedly cheated with. Some of them are dead now, mysteriously, conveniently, and songs got written about it. Music videos got made that seemed to reference these situations, but everybody just consumed it as entertainment. Nobody stopped to ask, wait, is this a confession disguised as art? The emotional toll on the people who've been trying to speak up for years is immeasurable. They've been called liars, attention seekers, jealous haters. They've had their reputations destroyed, their careers ended. Some of them have been legitimately afraid for their lives. And now that the truth is finally coming out, where's their apology? Where's their vindication? Let's dive even deeper into the evidence, because what's surfacing now is absolutely staggering, and the more you learn, the worse it gets. Online investigators have been doing work that puts actual journalists to shame. They're cross-referencing timelines, comparing public statements to actual events, and finding inconsistencies that are impossible to ignore. For example, let's talk about the Epstein files. Jay-Z's name appeared in those documents, and the internet went absolutely wild. People started asking, what was he doing associated with Epstein? What events did he attend? What did he witness? What did he participate in? And Beyonce's name came up too in related lawsuits that got dismissed. The official reason given was that the claims were too outrageous to believe. But here's the thing about outrageous claims. When multiple people tell similar stories independently, they stop being outrageous and start being evidence. Folks online are now revisiting every public appearance the Carters made with Diddy, every party they attended together, every business deal they were involved in, and the connections are everywhere. These weren't casual acquaintances, these were close associates who spent significant time together, did business together, and allegedly covered for each other. The timeline analysis is particularly damning. Investigators online have created literal spreadsheets tracking when certain people died or had their careers destroyed and correlating those dates with the Carters' career moves. And the patterns are disturbing. Right before a major album drop or tour announcement, someone who could have been competition would suddenly face a scandal or tragedy. Over and over again, too many times to be coincidence. Let's talk about the drink line Beyonce launched, Sacred Hair Care and Sir Davis Whiskey. These products were supposed to be her next big business moves. Millions of dollars invested, major marketing campaigns, celebrity endorsements lined up, and they're flopping hard. People are leaving reviews saying the quality is terrible, the prices are outrageous, the customer service is non-existent, and Beyonce's response? Keep pushing more products, keep pretending everything is fine, keep acting like the brand is dying in real time. But here's what's really interesting. The comments on her promotional posts for these products have been hijacked by people calling out her and Jay-Z's alleged crimes. She'll post a beautiful photo advertising her whiskey, and the top comments are all about Diddy, Epstein, suspicious deaths, and industry corruption. Her team can't delete them fast enough. The truth is spreading faster than they can contain it. Voice analysis experts on TikTok and YouTube have been breaking down old interviews where Beyonce and Jay-Z discuss certain topics. The micro-expressions, the nervous laughter, the way their stories don't quite line up. One expert pointed out that when Jay-Z talks about his come-up in the music industry, his body language shows deception markers. The way he touches his face, avoids eye contact, changes his speech pattern. These are tells that interrogators are trained to recognize. And people are also looking at the way Beyonce has controlled her image over the years. The fact that she barely does interviews, the way she communicates primarily through carefully curated social media posts and music videos, the iron grip her team has on her narrative. Folks are saying that level of control isn't about being private, it's about hiding something. There's also the matter of the Beyhive itself. For years, Beyoncé's fan base has been known as one of the most aggressive, protective groups on the internet. They would attack anyone who criticized her, dox people, send death threats, ruin reputations. And many people believe this wasn't organic fan behavior. They think it was orchestrated, encouraged, maybe even paid for. A digital army to intimidate critics into silence. But now that army is turning on its queen. The same people who defended her for years are the ones calling her out the loudest. They feel betrayed, used, manipulated, and they're angry. The comments in her Instagram are filled with former fans saying they feel sick that they ever supported her, that they defended someone who allegedly did such horrible things. Now, this whole situation gets even crazier when you realize how deep the connections run throughout the entire industry and how many people allegedly knew what was happening but stayed silent. Let's talk about the award shows for a minute. The Grammys, VMAs, BET Awards. Beyonce has dominated these events for decades, but people are now asking, was that dominance earned or engineered? There are stories floating around about how voting members were allegedly influenced, pressured, or incentivized to vote certain ways. About how certain performances got primetime slots not because they were the best, but because the right people made the right calls. And it's not just about Beyonce. Jay-Z has been equally involved in controlling narratives and opportunities. His Roc Nation empire has fingers in everything: music, sports management, entertainment production. That level of influence doesn't happen by accident. It happens through strategic positioning, calculated moves, and allegedly eliminating anyone who might challenge that power. There's also the matter of how the Carters have positioned themselves as activists and philanthropists over the years, the scholarships they funded, the social justice causes they've supported, the way they've aligned themselves with movements like Black Lives Matter. People are now questioning, was any of that genuine, or was it all image management, a way to build a protective shield of public goodwill that would make it harder for accusations to stick? Because here's the thing, when you've spent years cultivating an image as a champion of the people, as someone who cares about justice and equality, it becomes much harder for people to believe you're capable of the things being alleged now. That's not accidental, that's strategic reputation building. The side stories keep emerging too. Former backup dancers speaking up about the toxic environment during tours, crew members sharing stories about unreasonable demands and abusive behavior, people who worked on music videos describing how controlling and paranoid the atmosphere was. None of this is definitive proof of the major allegations, but it paints a picture of people who are not the icons they've presented themselves to be. And let's talk about the Tidal situation. Remember when Jay-Z launched Tidal as the artist-owned streaming platform that was supposed to revolutionize the music industry and give power back to creators? That was the narrative. But what actually happened? The platform struggled. Artists complained they weren't getting paid properly. And Jay-Z ended up selling it for a massive profit, while most of the artists who supported it got nothing. That's a pattern with the Carters. They position themselves as being for the people, for the culture, for the artists, but when you look at the actual outcomes, they're the only ones who consistently benefit. Everyone else gets used and discarded. There are also whispers about the way they've handled their own family members. Beyoncé's relationship with her father Matthew Knowles deteriorated publicly. Jay-Z's relationship with Dame Dash, his former business partner, ended in lawsuits and bitter accusations. These aren't distant associates. These are people who were intimately involved in building their empires, and they all got pushed out when they were no longer useful or started asking too many questions. The pattern is consistent. Use people, extract value, discard them when they become inconvenient. And, allegedly, if they try to speak up about what they witnessed, silence them through legal threats, reputation destruction, or worse. What we're seeing here is bigger than just one couple's alleged crimes. This is about how power operates in the entertainment industry and how people at the top have been able to get away with horrific behavior for decades because the system protects them. The bigger conversation needs to be about accountability, about how we as a society put celebrities on pedestals and refuse to believe they're capable of doing wrong until the evidence becomes so overwhelming we can't ignore it anymore. We did this with R. Kelly. We did this with Bill Cosby. We did this with Harvey Weinstein. And we're doing it again with Diddy, Jay-Z, and Beyonce. The entertainment industry has been operating like the mafia for years. Omerta, code of silence. You don't snitch on the powerful because if you do, your career is over, or worse. And that culture has allowed predators, abusers, and criminals to thrive, while victims suffered in silence. What's different now is that social media has democratized information. The gatekeepers can't control the narrative anymore. People can share their stories directly. Evidence can be spread instantly. The old playbook of using money and lawyers to bury scandals doesn't work as well when millions of people are watching everything in real time. This situation is also exposing how complicit the media has been. How many journalists knew about these allegations but didn't report them because they were afraid to get sued or losing access? How many publications killed stories because the Carters' lawyers threatened them? How many times did the truth get buried to protect powerful people? The responsibility extends to fans, too. The Beyhive's aggressive defense of Beyonce created an environment where people were afraid to speak up. When you know that criticizing someone will result in harassment, doxing, and death threats, you stay quiet. That's not fandom, that's cult behavior, and it enabled alleged abuse to continue unchecked. We're also seeing how wealth and fame can insulate people from consequences for far too long. The Carters have been operating with impunity for decades because they had the resources to shut down investigations, pay off accusers, and intimidate witnesses. That's not justice. That's a two-tiered system where the rich play by different rules. The warning is here for anyone who's chasing fame and fortune. Be careful what you're willing to do to get it, and be even more careful about who you're willing to align yourself with, because eventually the truth comes out, always, and when it does, everyone connected to the corruption gets dragged down with it. So where do the Carters go from here? Because let's be real, there's no coming back from this. Not really. Reports are circulating that Jay-Z has left the country. Nobody knows exactly where he is, but people are speculating he's in a non-extradition country, preparing for what's coming. If that's true, it tells you everything you need to know about his guilt. Innocent people don't run. Beyoncé's team is allegedly in full crisis mode, emergency meetings with lawyers and PR specialists, trying to figure out how to contain a situation that's already spiraled completely out of control. But here's the problem. You can't PR your way out of this. The internet is undefeated. The truth is out there, and people aren't forgetting. The speculation now is about what happens legally. Will there be arrests? Will more lawsuits be filed? Will people who've been silent finally come forward now that they see others speaking up? The dominoes are falling, and once they start, they don't stop. There's also speculation about what happens to their business empire, the music catalogs, the investments, the real estate. If criminal charges come, assets get frozen, deals get canceled, partnerships dissolve. The financial collapse could be just as dramatic as the reputation collapse. And what about their kids? Blue Ivy, Rumi, and Sir. These children are going to grow up with this as their legacy. Their parents' names will forever be associated with scandal and alleged crimes. That's a burden no child should have to carry. Some folks online are even speculating about whether Beyoncé will try to distance herself from Jay-Z, claim she didn't know, play the victim. But the evidence suggests she was involved in too much to claim ignorance. She knew. People have been saying it for years. She knew and she participated. The final speculation is about who else gets exposed. Because the Carters didn't operate in isolation, there are other celebrities, other industry executives, other powerful people who were part of this alleged network. And if the Carters go down, they might take others with them. That's usually how these things work. People start talking to save themselves. Stay locked in because this story is far from over. More details are dropping every single day. More victims are finding the courage to speak up. More evidence is being uncovered by online investigators who refuse to let this go. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the Carters will face actual legal consequences? Or will their wealth and power protect them one more time? Do you think Beyoncé knew everything? Or is there any chance she was manipulated by Jay-Z? And what do you think happens to their legacy after all this? Make sure you like this video, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update, because we're covering every twist, every revelation, every piece of evidence that comes out. This is history happening in real time, and you're witnessing the fall of an empire that many people thought was untouchable. I appreciate you for rocking with me through this whole breakdown. I know it's heavy, I know it's disturbing, but the truth matters more than protecting celebrities who allegedly did horrible things. Stay safe out there, and remember, fame and fortune mean nothing if you had to destroy people to get them. Real legacy is built on integrity, not bodies. I'll see you in the next one.